In this video, we're going to do a step-by-step walkthrough of a DVAAPBase installation. DVAAPBase is a Windows client-server application. What does that mean? Well, that means that there are two main parts to the program. There's the client, and that's the Windows program that you see on your desktop. It has the screens for entering data, running reports, and so forth. And the server, which is the database where DVAAPBase stores all of the data that it uses. So installing DVAAPBase requires a couple of steps, depending on whether you already have a database available where you'll be using the software. You'll need to install the DVAAPBase program, that's the client, and you may also need to install Microsoft SQL Server, that's the server. Let's start by installing DVAAPBase on the Windows workstation. You'll need to have Windows Vista or later. DVAAPBase is installed via a web-based installer. You should have received an email with two links to the installation files. The first link downloads a small installer that sets up some of the DVAAPBase supporting files. The second link allows you to install the DVAAPBase application. The links in your email may not match those you see here, so use the links that you received. We want the supporting files in place before we install DVAAPBase, so click the first link and you should be prompted whether you want to run or save the file. Select Save, and note where the file is located on your workstation. Now, most of the time your browser will save downloaded files in your Downloads folder or on the desktop. Now, depending on your Windows user privileges, you may be able to simply double-click the file to install the files. If you don't have sufficient rights on your computer, the installer is going to ask you to log in with administrator rights. This is required because one of the things that the installer does is set up a PDF printer that DVAAPBase uses to save reports as PDF files. Now, this requires administrator rights on Windows. If you don't have the necessary rights, ask your IT support to run the installer for you or grant you the rights you need to perform the installation. I'm running as a standard user. That means I do not have the privileges I need to complete the installation. So when I ran this, I'm asked to log in as a user with the necessary privileges. So I'll do that now. Let's assume my IT person is here helping me, and they're here to log in to allow me to continue this installation. Okay. Now, since there's a few things that are installed during the process here, you might get a warning more than once as it installs each module, and each time Windows is going to ask for the administrator password. So what just got installed with these support files? So let's go take a look. First thing that got installed is the PDF printer. Now we can find that by looking in the settings in Windows 10 and the devices, and we can see the printers that are installed. So right here is the PDF printer that was installed with the extras for DVAAPBase. Now, this printer can only be used by DVAAPBase. If you try to print something to this printer from some other application like Word, it won't work. You've been warned. Let's see what other files were just installed. So we're going to go into Windows Explorer, and let's go look at the program folders. So you'll see a new folder here called Gerstco. Inside that folder is the DVAAPBase folder, and this is where the supporting files are placed. And inside that folder we have the various files that were installed. So one folder that you'll need to use later is the EAAP templates folder. That's this vet IWD templates. Now, this folder contains Word documents that are used by DVAAPBase to produce narratives for plans that it produces. So one of the settings in DVAAPBase indicates where these template files are located, so you'll need to know the path to this folder. Now, you can leave the template files here, or you can copy them to a different location that's easier for you to get to if you need to modify the templates later. For example, I could copy the templates here and put them in my Documents folder. And that's a faster way to get to them. So another folder that was installed is this DB Updater folder. Now, this contains a utility that creates and updates your DVAAPBase database. I'll be talking about that more in the SQL Server installation video that's also on the Gerstco video training website. Now let's install DVAAPBase itself. The other link in our email will take us to the DVAAPBase installer, which is a web-based installer. So you can see what version of DVAAPBase you're installing and some other information about the installation here at the bottom of the page. Now there's an installation button here, and that's what we'll click to download and install DVAAPBase. Now Windows might give you a warning because you're running an installer, and if you see a warning, just click Run to allow the installation to proceed. Now, since I'm installing as a low-level user like before, I'm asked to provide administrator password. I see it's asking to install Microsoft Visual Studio 2010 Report Viewer. This is part of the reporting engine in DVAAPBase, so we'll just accept and install that. If you already have the report viewer installed, you will not see this part of the installation. And again, since I'm running as a standard user, in order to install the report viewer, it's asking for the administrator password. And now it's asking if it's okay to install DVAAPBase itself. So now it's downloading DVAAPBase installation from the Gerstco website, and after that it will begin the installation. So now the installation is actually starting, and again, since I'm a low-level user, I need to enter the administrator password. If you have any higher level privileges than I do in this demonstration, you won't see any of these warnings and requests for administrator password. So now the installation is actually complete, and it's trying to start DVAAPBase for the first time, but since we haven't set up the SQL Server database, it's going to stop with a couple errors here, but we'll just dismiss those, and we'll get on with the rest of the configuration. It's telling me that it couldn't access the databases, which is what we expect. That's fine. So if you're a small organization that does not need an enterprise-level database, Microsoft makes available for free an edition of SQL Server called SQL Server Express. Now this has all the functions required to serve as a database for DVAAPBase. It has enough capacity for even large DVAAPBase database. Instructions for installing SQL Server Express are available at Microsoft.com. Now, since SQL Server is a Microsoft product, Gerstco does not offer direct support in its installation, use, and maintenance. However, there are many excellent SQL Server resources and tutorials available online. For a quick walkthrough, though, of installing SQL Server Express, take a look at the video SQL Server Express installation in the installation section at gerstco.com/software/video training. And that'll walk you through a basic SQL Server Express installation.